everyone, my name is Leah and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a book haul of books that I got, starting with books that I got for my birthday and ending with books that I got really recently. So this is a several month long book haul, so I think I'm going to call it a summer book haul, even though a couple of these I did get in September, which isn't summer anymore, but I'm just gonna call this a summer haul for the sake of an easy title. So my birthday was in May, so this is going to be books that I got from May to now in September. I also know it's a little weird for me to be posting a haul when I have said several times in videos recently that I can't really buy any books right now because I'm saving to move out. But a lot of these were books that I got as gifts for my birthday, also books that I got with birthday money and things like that. Also, the majority of these books I think are from May and June, so that was before I went on my book buying ban. I have only broken my book buying ban once, and I will talk about that book. Also, if you see weird gaps on the shelves behind me, that's because they're books that I'm going to be talking about for this video, and I'm going to put them right back afterwards, so I didn't want to rearrange the shelves. First up are a couple books that I bought with some birthday money that I got. The first one is Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. I really like the cover of this. I've heard it's sapphic. This is like horror and there's mermaids. I think there's also an autistic main character and a main character that uses sign language. I may be wrong about those being main characters, they may be side characters, but that's the rep that I've heard is in this book. I haven't read this yet. I'm thinking I might read it in October or November since those are like spookier months and this is a horror. I don't really read that much horror, so I'm intrigued to see how much I'm going to like this, but I really wanted to get it because Mira Grant is also Seanan McGuire, and I love all of the Seanan McGuire books that I've read, so I'm hoping that I'll really like this. And I want to try some horror. The next book that I got was The Lovely War by Julie Berry. I've been hearing really good things about this, and I read The Nightingale in April? I don't remember. It was either April or May, I'm not sure. And I talked to Cindy about that book and we both cried over it, but she said that this book made her cry more and she really liked this book, so I decided to pick it up. But I haven't read this yet, I'm not sure when I'll get to it. Then the next thing that I got was Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice Oseman, which I had been hearing so many good things about. I did read this, I loved it so much, it's so adorable. This was also my first Alice Oseman book. This is the first volume in a graphic novel series that follows the romance between two boys in school, and it's just so adorable. While it is very cute and fluffy, there are also some difficult topics covered, specifically in Volume 3, but all of the volumes cover some difficult topics, so since I've read this before, I'll put trigger warnings in the description box below. I'm probably not going to put trigger warnings for the books that I haven't read yet because I'm not really sure quite what those are, but for the books that I've read, I will put trigger warnings in the description. So definitely, if you're someone that wants trigger warnings for books, look at the description, but also I might forget something and not include something, so don't take the trigger warnings that I put as like the end word on it. Definitely do some research on your own if that's something that you need. But this is so good. I love the art so much. It just makes me so happy. Also, I just realized that the first couple of books weren't books that I got with birthday money. They were books that my parents gifted me for my birthday, but I did ask for specific books. The next thing that I got was the next two volumes of Heartstopper, and now I'm trying to remember if these were books that I got with birthday money. These were all birthday presents in some shape or form. But I finished volume 1 and I immediately needed volumes 2 and 3, and I loved them so much. They're so good. Also, I like reading them physically. These are really good physical reads, but the whole comic is also available online and on the webcomic app Tapas, so I will link all of that information in the description box below so you can check that out. These are just so good and so cute, and also all three volumes look so good next to each other. They're just such pleasing pastel colors. I love them so much. The next few books were birthday presents from some of my friends, and I'll definitely link their information in the description box down below. Anyone I mention in this video, I'll try to link the information on down below. The first book is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. This was a gift from my friend Kevin, and I'm so excited to keep reading this because I've heard so many good things about this book. I actually am technically currently reading this right now, but I haven't picked it up in a few weeks because I was reading it in August and then I fell into a reading slump where I could only read audiobooks and the occasional graphic novel, so I haven't picked this up in a while. And now I'm not exactly in a slump, but I feel like a slump is like really close, so I'm afraid to pick this up again because it is denser fantasy, even though I know I'm going to like it. So I'm not sure how soon I'm going to get to this, but I am hoping to finish it by the end of this month. We'll see if that actually happens. The next book is Her Royal Highness, which was gifted to me by my friend Izza. This is a sapphic romance that takes place at a school in Scotland, and I read this in July and just recently posted my July wrap-up, so you can check that out for some of my thoughts on this book. The next book is This Is How You Lose the Time War, which was gifted to me by my friend Andy, and this book is so good. I will say it can be a bit confusing at times, so I didn't read the audiobook, but I don't know if I'd recommend it because the writing is just so beautiful and descriptive and also confusing that I think reading the physical might be the way to go. But this is a sapphic enemies to lovers book that follows two time travel spy agents on opposite sides of a war. It's very unique, it's so interesting, and the sapphic yearning is excellent. So I definitely recommend this. The next book is Reign of the Fallen, which was gifted to me by my friend RC, and pretty much all I know about this is that it's a fantasy with a bi main character, so I'm very excited to eventually read this. Also, I love this cover. It's so just pleasantly pastel pink and cute, and it's also shimmery kind of. I'm really excited to pick this up when I get to it. The next two books that I got were A Princess in Theory and Once Ghosted, Twice Shy by Alyssa Cole, and these are the first book and then a novella taking place in the Reluctant Royals romance series. I don't really read that much adult romance. I think I actually read adult romance for the first time this year, but I've heard really good things about these, and I've especially been wanting to pick up Once Ghosted, Twice Shy because it's sapphic, and I've heard really good things. Also, it's going to be a quick read because it's a novella. I'm not sure how soon I'll get to these. I am excited to try these out. I ended up placing a Waterstones order, and these next three books are three books that I got from Waterstones, which I probably will not be buying books from again anytime soon because that international shipping was pricey, but all of these were UK editions of books that I really wanted, and not all of them were available on Book Depository, so I ended up getting them from Waterstones. And definitely, if you're in the US and you're buying books from Waterstones, the way to do it is either buy several books at once, because it'll make it more worthwhile for the shipping, or do a combined order with someone else you know and split the shipping between you. That's definitely the way to go. But the first book is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I had read this and loved it, and I really wanted this edition. I had read it as an ebook, and I found it on Waterstones. I wanted it so much, and I got it. And this was another book that I read in July? Did I read it in July? And I read this in either July or August. I'm struggling to remember what month I read it in right now. Whatever month it was, I'll figure it out and I'll put that info in text here. And also link whichever months it was wrap up so you can hear my thoughts about this book, but I loved it. The next book that I got was another Alice Oseman book, which was Loveless, and I haven't read this yet, but it has an Ace and Arrow main character, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. I think I might end up reading this in October because there's an Ace Race readathon for books with Ace characters that I'm planning on participating in, so I'll probably read this then, and I'm planning on buddy reading this with my friend Izza, and I'm so excited to read this. The next book is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, and I'm so excited for this book, but it's also very chunky. But this was the edition that I really, really wanted this edition of. Actually, I wanted this exclusive edition that on the side you just see the sword, but I couldn't find it anywhere. So I got this one, and it's so beautiful, and the dust jacket is so silky. It's just beautiful. And I haven't read this yet, but The Night Circus was one of my favorite books from last year. I know some people find The Night Circus kind of boring, but I loved the writing style so much. I just adored that book. Honestly, I'm not quite sure what it's about, but other people who loved The Night Circus have highly recommended this book to me, so I'm so excited to read this. The next book is The Adventure Zone Volume 3, Petals to the Metal. I love The Adventure Zone. I feel like every time I mention an Adventure Zone graphic novel on this channel, I end up being really nerdy and excited about it, but I just love The Adventure Zone so much. I love Dungeons and Dragons so much. For anyone who hasn't seen me talk about it before, I'll just give a really quick explanation because I feel like I've talked about these books so much. But The Adventure Zone is a D&D podcast, and these graphic novels are adaptations of that podcast, and they're so good. This was the most recent one, and I pre-ordered it before it came out, and I read this in the month of July, so I talked about it in my recent July wrap-up, so I'll link that wrap-up down below. It was adorable. I love The Adventure Zone. I want volumes 1 and 2 of this so badly. I can't wait for volume 4, but it's not going to come for like a year probably. The next book that I got was Girl Serpent Thorn, and this is a sapphic like fairy tale type book. It's a fantasy. I'm really excited to pick this up because you know I love sapphic books and fantasy is my favorite genre. Also, I think the main character is bi, so I'm so excited. I won this on Twitter in a giveaway from Sasha, and she also has a YouTube channel. I think it's like Midnight Books, so I'll link that information down below, but I won this in the giveaway and I'm so excited to read it, and this cover is just so pretty. The cover that is the prettiest though is the Fairy Loot exclusive edition, the pink one. I want that so bad, but people are selling it for like $80 or something, which I cannot afford. I can't even afford a normal edition book right now, so I'm not going to be able to get that, but it's so pretty, so I'll just like stare at photos of it. The next book that I got was The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, which everyone has been talking about. I know I'm going to like this because of who I've seen like it and the number of people I've seen like it. I will honestly be shocked if I don't give this book 5 stars, but I don't see myself giving it any less than a 4-star. And no, I haven't read it yet. I need to read it, but I want to finish the 5th season first because I only want to be reading one like dense adult fantasy at a time, except if it comes to Harrow. I'm gonna start reading Harrow soon, but that's an exception. I'll get to that at the end of the video because that's the last book I have to talk about. But I am so excited to read this. I feel like everyone has been talking about this lately. The next book is Beyond the Black Door, and this is actually an ARC, but the book has been published, but someone was looking for an Own Voices Ace reviewer to give this to, so I asked for it. I haven't read this yet, but I'm really excited to read it because I want to read more Ace books, and I probably will end up reading this in October like Loveless for the Ace Race readathon. The next book is You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. I'm so excited for this. It's sapphic. It's a sapphic YA, and I've heard so many good things about how adorable this is, and I won this in a giveaway on Twitter. I can't wait to read this. I'm so excited. And this next book was a book that I had pre-ordered months ago. And that book is Courting Darkness by Robin Lefevers, which is the sequel to a duology spin-off of a trilogy that she wrote called His Fair Assassin. And I actually reread the first book to this duology in August, so you can see my August wrap-up for thoughts on that. And I've been rereading the trilogy, and I read the last book in the trilogy in July, so you can see some of my thoughts on that too if you look at my July wrap-up. But there were some twists at the end of the first book in this duology, so I'm really excited to pick this up soon. And I don't want to say too much about this because this is, first of all, sequel duology and also the second book in the duology. But in this world, there are girls who have grown up trained to be assassins in a convent, and they worship the god of death. And it's a little bit of that fantasy element, but I'd say primarily it's historical fiction, and there's a lot of like court and political intrigue and like character focus. The next book that I got, I was like, I can't buy books right now, but I had a little bit of money left from my birthday, so I bought this book, and that is House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. If you've watched my August wrap-up, you've seen me rave about this book. It's so good. It's one of my new favorites of all time. It's so adorable. This book has some fantasy elements, there's found family, it's just so good. I don't want to say too much more about what it's about because I just described it in the video I filmed yesterday. So if you want to hear more about this book and my thoughts on this book, you can check out my August wrap up. But please read this book. It made me cry happy tears. I love it so much. Next is Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany Jackson. I love this book so much. I read it in July. I rated it 5 stars. It made me cry. You can go see me rant about this book. This follows a girl named Claudia whose friend Monday doesn't come back to school after summer break, and she's really worried about her and no one really seems concerned about her. This book is so good. It ripped my heart apart. I am so excited to read the physical, and this was gifted to me by my friend Reagan. I'm so happy. Thank you, Reagan. My friend RC and I had buddy read this together, and we kept telling everyone to read it, and Reagan read it and also knows how good it was. And I was talking recently about how I want to reread this and I want the physical so badly because I read the audiobook, but this is a book that I feel like you want to reread and want to dissect physically, and then Reagan sent this to me, so thank you so much, Reagan. I'm so excited to reread this soon. I love this book. Please read this book. The next 2 books I actually got doing a trade. I recently posted a really big unhaul and I'm getting rid of all those books, and I'm trying to either sell them because I need to save up money to move or do trades for them. So these 2 books I got in that trade. And I still have a bunch of books that I want to sell that are available, so if anyone is interested in buying some books or trading some books. Most of the books that I mentioned in my unhaul are still available, but I'll also link my Twitter thread where I posted some of the books down below if you are interested in any books. The first book is Inkheart, which is the first book in the Inkheart trilogy. Alright, my phone just fell, which I know I've had an issue about in videos before. I thought this makeshift tripod was better. It is apparently not. I'm sorry, I can't afford a phone tripod right now. So if my camera angle is now off, it's because I dropped my phone. But Inkheart is the first book in a trilogy, and I haven't actually read the last book, Ink Death, but I loved these as a kid, and I have the last 2 books in the trilogy. So when the person I was trading with had this, I was really excited, and now I have this book that matches my other editions of the second 2 books, so now I have this. And I reread this kind of recently, but I might reread it again and do like a whole read of the trilogy because I never read the last book. The next book is Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim, and I've heard this is like a Mulan retelling, and it's a fantasy, and the main character is a tailor, and it just sounds really interesting, so I'm excited to pick this up. The next book is a book that I won in a giveaway on Twitter, and that is Who I Was With Her, which I am so excited to read because there's a bi-main character, it's sapphic, this cover is just so pink and I love it. And this is a YA contemporary, and what I know about it is that the main character's girlfriend ends up dying and she has a really hard time dealing with her grief. And one of the reasons she has a really hard time dealing with it is that she and her girlfriend were in a secret relationship, so nobody really knows that they were dating, so she can't even like publicly grieve with anyone. Hello, Editing Leah here to say there are a couple of books I want to add to my haul before I talk about the last book because I do want to save that one for last. I had gotten a few ebooks in the time that I got all of those physical books, and I decided that I wanted to include those in the haul, so I'm going to talk about those now. First ebook that I got was Let's Talk About Love by Claire Kahn, and I read this in August. You can see I have a big problem with remembering what month I read things in. I just looked it up and it was the first book I read in August, so that's part of why I was confused because it was very close to July that I read it. I think I started it in July. I talked about this book a lot in my August wrap-up, so you can check that out for more of my detailed thoughts on that book, but for now I'll just mention that this is a YA contemporary with a black bi-ace main character. The next ebook that I got was Don't Read the Comments by Eric Smith, which I haven't read yet, but I'm really looking forward to. A couple of people I know have read it and they all really liked it, so I'm excited to read it. This is a YA contemporary that I know has to do with gaming. The next book I got for free, and that was Minor Mage by T. Kingfisher. This looks like a short, cute, and fun children's fantasy book, so I'm looking forward to checking that out. Next two books that I got were both by the same author, and that's Shira Glassman, and the first one is Fearless, which is really short. It was around like under 40 pages, and it's a short, cute FF contemporary between two band moms. It was really cute. I read it this month, so I'll be talking about it when I do my September wrap-up. Then the next one is Knit 1 Girl 2, which I actually finished reading yesterday as of filming this, and I'll also be talking about that in my September wrap-up. Both of the main characters of this one are Jewish, and it was a FF contemporary romance between a knitter and a painter. Alright, those are all the ebooks that I read. Thank you for watching this little ebook interlude. Alright, now we are to the last book in the video, and also the one that I am possibly the most excited about, and that is Harrow the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. I read Gideon the Ninth at the end of August. I finished it the last day of August, and I buddy read it with my friend Izza. And we're going to buddy read this book. I'm so excited. I think we're starting really soon. It was so good. Like House of the Cerulean Sea, it was immediately like a new favorite of all time. It's so good. And that book ended, and I needed Harrow. I needed Harrow immediately. And if you've read the book, you know why. You need it immediately. But my library didn't have it, and I needed it. So I decided to break my book buying ban, and I bought this book. In my defense, I am being very smart with my money right now, and I hadn't spent money on things other than bills and other necessities in a bit, so I decided to treat myself with this book, and I'm so excited to read it. If you didn't see me rave about Gideon in my August wrap-up, which I recommend you watch because I'm just nerding out for a couple minutes, I won't say too much about it, so I'll just give you the short pitch, which is lesbian necromancers, and if you want a longer pitch, go watch me geek out about this for like 5 minutes. It's so good. I can't wait to read this. I'm so excited to read this with Izza. I'm just so excited for this book. Alright, that is the end of my summer / also September book haul. If you've read any of the books I mentioned, feel free to leave me a comment talking about them, or if you're now interested in one of the books that I mentioned because I talked about it, let me know. If you don't want to talk about any of the books, feel free to leave me a little emoji, let's say a purple heart. If you liked this video, please give it a like, and if you want to see more of my stuff, you can hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later. It's excited about, and that is Gideon. Still haven't read the last book, Ink Dead. Oh my god. Ah! Why did you fall?